Another thing that is on all of our minds today is we look again outside and we see lots of division, lots of darkness in some ways, and people wanting to pit us against one another. And there is a part of us that, in some strange way, kind of understands it because we're trying to identify the things that are threatening us. And when you're caught in a moment of uncertainty or fear, we can all be susceptible to people who want to manipulate that for some other benefit. And it's important for us, like in a fog, we have a lighthouse. Why? Because that light will tell you, don't crash into the shoals. It's a very simple concept. We can all get lost in a fog. It's normal. But what do we look to? What light is there to guide us? So we see today this dynamic where, for whatever reason, people want to pit us against it. So again, we try to bring together our minds and our hearts to think through a very simple issue. Is if I am uncertain or anxious or I fear for the future, how will I generally climb out of that to get to a place of peace and prosperity and fulfillment? If I get up every day and what animates me, what sort of gets me going is anger or hatred on another person, I need to sit down and think, is that really the best that my life has to offer? Have I lost all hope? Is there nothing positive to look forward to that will define me, rather than the purpose of my life is to direct anger and blame on somebody else as to why something isn't working out? It's highly unlikely. Forget about whether it's a good or a bad thing. You don't even get there. It's illogical that we're going to be able to lift our country up and all of us get to that bright future that we know is waiting for us if we are united and we work as one. So these stories that people want to tell about division and about how we are certain enemies to one another because of that, they are destructive. They're destructive because when we look ahead and we think in one of two ways, that either we want to exclude people because of their race or their background, or we want the future to be defined on the other side of that coin by our race or our background, which you go from a model of racist model to what is a sectarian model. They're kinds of two sides of the same coin, that at the end of the day, it's not about what you do, it's about who you are. That pigeonholes you and defines you. And we want to avoid a world where that is all that matters. And we are not judged on our own deeds and our own merit. There's nobody in the world, when they do something, who doesn't like to hear, great job, well done, and get rewarded for it. That is a basic element of our human condition. Everybody, from when we're children to when we're old, you do something, you like to hear good job and to be rewarded for it. That is a common human experience. So when we look at what we have in Canada and the fact that certain people want to have us view one another as certain enemies rather than the potential allies that we are, we can look around the world at different models where that has proven to fail. Obviously, we look at models where they're based on race, and we see how destructive they are and how they always come to an end. And then we look at other models, sectarian models, like the country of my heritage, Lebanon, where they thought they were doing a good thing at the time to end a war. They started to divide the country and give out certain spheres of influence based on your religion. And we see the dead end of that model. where all that matters is your sect. So you want to be a finance minister? You can't, because you're the wrong religion. Somebody thought it would be a nice idea in the beginning to say, make sure everybody has their designated spot. But we see the dead end of that, because then do you genuinely get the right people doing the right things when all that matters is, I better make sure I fill that spot with somebody from my own group? Those are the dangers of looking at a society where all we do is talk about race. So we want to take our conversation from a situation today where we talk about race so that in the future, we never have to talk about race. And what we talk about is our shared humanity. And our shared humanity is based on a very simple proposition, that I am recognized and rewarded for the things that I do, and you see me for who I am. And that ultimately, this meritocracy that we call Canada becomes the most inclusive version of our history yet.